Hi all, welcome to shripriti classes. Today we are continuing our course Learn Angular from Basic to Advanced, and today we will create our first Angular application and we will also edit it. So let's begin. Okay, so let's open command prompt or git bash, anything. Let's start with git bash today. If you don't know, I've already told you in the setup lecture that we could use git bash as well. Okay, now let's install the CLI. We will go from the beginning, okay, but we are not going to do it for global. We are just going to install it for this directory only. So to create a new Angular application, you have to use ng-new and then you have to provide the app name, just like this. So let's do it. Okay, so node version you could see 14.10 and npm version is 6.14.8. now if I see ng help, do I have okay, yeah, these are the list of available commands. Already have ng add, analytics, build, deploy, config, generate, new. So you could see new creates a new workspace and an initial Angular app. Just like here we could see my dream app. I will create my first app. ng new my first app. Now here when I will create this, it may ask me for routing and style. Now if you see here, the moment I use new, it has created my first application, and inside it you can see here are multiple files it has created that we are going to learn in future. Angular.json, package.json. Angular.json, you could say it contains the metadata of the complete Angular application. Okay, so Angular.json, you could say it contains the information of the Angular application, the metadata. Package.json contains the metadata of packages and the commands that we are going to use. I will show you the karma, which will the karma configuration file. Karma is for using the testing. For testing purposes we will use karma. And Jasmine, favicon.ico, that is this icon that you are seeing. Index.html, the first HTML page that will be loaded. Its information will be written over here in angular.json. main.ts file, this is the first file which get invoked when we open our Angular application. Style.css, test.ts, and many other configurations, specs files. Environment.prod.ts, these if you want to work on a deploy on a multiple environments, let's say dev, QA and prod. So by default it provides prod, and for local you could use environment.ts. and the configurations can be different in both. We can store the configurations in these two files for local, environment.ts, for prod and environment.prod.ts. Similarly, we can create environment.qa.ts, environment.dev.ts. This is the you could say first root module, the app module, the first module that it has created for my first app. However, I can give it another name as well, but by default Angular creates the first module as the app module. It, you could say, as the root module as well. And the first component HTML file, first testing file spec.ts, first TypeScript file, first CSS file, and protector is also for testing purposes. We will learn about them in future. The config file again for TypeScript config file, and here now it is installing all the packages. Now if I see the directory, I can see my first app is already there. I can, if I want to go to my first app, you could see all these files. Angular.json contains the metadata of the Angular application. Karma is for testing. Package.json contains the information about the packages that we have installed, also the command that we can manually add on it, or the initial commands that we use to run the application. Package log.json, it also contains the information of the packages. It will always get updated every time that whenever we will create a we will install the applications, or we will create a build or anything. These are the TypeScript configuration files. Now let's open the file. Now this time it has not asked me for routing. You could see I don't have the routing. Let's open Visual Studio Code. Let's open it. Now open the folder. Let's go to Angular new. Why is this here? This is our application, my first app. Okay, so my first app is here, and as I told you, the initial root module is the app module. This is the main file that will get loaded. The first file, it will contain the module name, the bootstrap module. The app module is a bootstrap module over here, and like I said, we have angular.json file where it will tell me where the name is given. We could change this prefix and other things as well, like what file we have to load first. So if you see here, main.ts must be written over here somewhere. Yeah, so this is the main file, the main.ts file. This is the first file which will bootstrap my root module. So if I see here in the main.ts, it will import the required Angular packages. This will help platform browser dynamic, will help to show our application into the browser. This will enable the pro mode for environment only. This is that we have import the app module. This is the environment that I was talking about, that we can have multiple environment. Like if you go to environment.ts, let's go to environment.ts. So you could see the environment.production is false over here. This is default. when you create your first application, these things will automatically be here. Environment.prod.ts, you could see environment production is true. So when you will create your build for production, if we go to package.json, we could see some commands like ng build, ng npm. So to run these scripts, we have to use npm run start. It will automatically run our ng serve. Npm run build will run ng build. And if I use configuration is equal to production to create the production build, environment.prod will be production will be true, and in main.ts it will enable the pro mode. And if I have not enabled it in the console, when this will be open, is it open or not? Let me check. It is not open yet. Let's open it. Go to terminal. Now let's go to package.json. Let's see all the commands, all the scripts that are available here. I could use ng serve to start the application, but let's run npm run start to start the application. It will automatically run this ng serve command. Now it is asking me few things. Would you like anonymous usage data? Okay, let's put it as yes. Now here you could see that the style.css is here. The extension is css. We could have scss, sass, less, but this time it has not asked us, but previously when we were doing the setup, it has asked us. We will learn about some other options that are provided by Angular. So there are other options with ng-new, like routing true or false. So by default the routing is false, but if we put it as true, it will create a routing module which will help us routing between the pages, and it also has a style. So combinedly we could do both the things. We could say routing as true and style as css. We will also create the application using this command. So you could go to its website and you can see in ng-new there are many other options like collections, commit. They have their own uses, but the commonly that we use are routing and style, and there are other as well. You have to read for what purpose they are used. We may not require all of them. These are optionals. So you could see that our application is already compiled successfully, and it is already running in localhost 4200. Let's open it. This is the default application available here. Let's edit it, but before that let's create one more application in parallel. Let's go to cd back and let's create ng. Let's use that command. Okay, I have to give my first app to my second app. Let's say my second app routing is true, styling is scss, and meanwhile we are going to edit our first application. We will see what is the extension of style files and whether we have the routing module or available or not. So now you could see the architecture of your Angular applications. You have these end-to-end testing files. You have the node modules. In node modules you have all the packages inside source. This is where your all the modules and applications are available, and inside it you have all the complete application components. This is, I told you that it contains the information about the application, this Angular application, like what its name is, what its index file is. Like here we have this index.html. We could change it to index1.html. This is output path. Now the output path is when we will create the build, it will create a dist folder, and inside dist folder it will create the build as my first app. We could change it from here, and let's go to configuration. So here we have this environment.ts for local. When we will create it, when we will give the configuration as production, it will change this file into this. So our environment.ts file will replace to environment.prod.ts, and in environment.ts, as you can see, the production is false. It will change to environment.production is equals to true, and when we will go to main.ts, the environment.production will be true, so the pro mode will be enabled. And but whether it is enabled or not, let's see what is the difference if we have not enabled it. Let me show you. So let's open the console. So if I have not enabled it, it will ask me to enable it. Angular is running in development mode. If it is not enabled, means it is running in a development mode, and call enable pro mode to enable in the production mode. But we are not running in the production mode. If we want to run in the production mode, let's make it as false. It will not ask now, but it is not good practice, so we will do what is correct. We will work in the development mode only. Now why I am not doing it, I will also tell you, but that part will come in future. So here you could see all the files, and this is the architecture. The main.ts file is the first file that will help us bootstrap the root module. Here in our case, the default module that was first created is the app module. This is so you could see in the app module we have this ng module. This is our root module basically, which will contain the information, the metadata about all the components, all the services that we are going to use. It will help us to know which component will bootstrap our application. So bootstrap means will load and will show the application, will launch the application. So it is telling that the app component will be the bootstrap component, and here we could see the app component is here, but we have also given this app component into our index.file. So here in the app root, the root module that we have given. So if we go to app.component.ts, it will give us one selector, app root, and this app component you could see in the app module is our bootstrap component. So this will bootstrap this module. So the first time the module will be loaded, this component will be the bootstrap component. So we could we can use routing to bootstrap another components. We could change here as well, and you could see the declaration is we will learn about all these parts: declaration, import, providers, bootstrap. Providers contain the services, imports contain the module, declaration contain the directives and the components, pipes and other things. This is CSS file. If you go inside app.component.ts, app.component.html, you could see we have used a style tag where we are giving all these stylings. If you want to change it, we could change here, but let's move these stylings to somewhere in the app.component.css folder. Let's move from here to there. Let's edit it. Okay, so don't worry if you don't know CSS, we will cover that part as well in future classes, so do subscribe. Okay, now we have shifted all the styles to CSS app.component.css file, and but we have to give this path, this files path to our app.component.css folder, which already it has style URLs. We could change it to style and we can directly put our styles here as well, but we will do it in a later class. So it already has the path, and the HTML path as well is here, the template URL. That's why it is showing all these things. Let's reload it. However, it will reload the moment I make the changes. The CSS is working fine. What will happen if I remove this CSS folder from here? Let's see. It can contain multiple CSS folders. That's why it has this array, this bracket. If I remove it, it will not work properly. Let me show you. It is giving me some error. You could see that JIT is just in time compilation. We will talk about that in detail. So you could see I could give app.component.css here, and if I don't give it, let's say I am removing app.component.css from here, the CSS is not working fine, though it has not given me any error, because if the CSS is not available, it will not give me any error. But you could see the complete HTML page is now, is not very much clean. So let's give it back the path. You could see the title over here as a my first application. How is it connecting? The title you are seeing in this TypeScript file. This title we are using, we are binding it to our HTML file. This is the template file. If you see here, this, not this title, this title, my first app is running. We could change it to, let's say, my dream app. So whenever we will create any variable inside a class, we can use that variable directly inside our HTML. This is data binding. We can directly use this variable, and we, like you could see, this name has been changed to my dream app. We will cover this part in the future classes in detail, in data binding and in string interpolation and other things. Now for beginning, you don't have to worry about this file. We will cover it when we will work on unit test cases and other things. app.component.ts, let's create one more variable. And now with TypeScript you have this benefit that you can give it a type. Let's give it a type. My dream app is running. Let's add something on it. Let's add count as number. And let's add implement on init it will also get import over here in the from Angular core packages. We are importing all these classes, component, on init and other things which are helping us to run this application. So by using on init, you could say when the application will be initialized, I can use ng on init now. I have to use this keyword to use count, and let's give it count as 2. Okay, now let's use this count into our HTML. My app is running. Let's say this is string interpolation. Okay, count times let's give nd for now, but for 4th, 5th we will not use that first, or remove it. Okay, let's just use it. So you could see my application is again for 2 times. Yeah, that would be better. My application is running for 2 times. If let's change the type, the number to string. Now the good thing about JavaScript that it can convert your data types very easily, so you don't have to worry. But when you will see into console, it will give you some, but when will you see over here, it will give you one error kind of thing. This is just a warning that type string is not assignable to type number. Now if I reload it again, you could see console is not giving me any error, but still it is working. Let's change it to 3, because while my code is running into the browser, the code is running into JavaScript and I'm doing my work in TypeScript. So while the compilation process is running, the code of TypeScript gets converted into JavaScript, and in JavaScript there is no type, so it helps you to convert the string to number. But let's say if I change it to boolean, now it will convert the boolean to string. So basically what is happening in JavaScript, when you are writing all these things, it is converting these things. Let me show you one more example. Let's say if I have one number and I am adding one string to it, so what it will do, it will convert 1 plus 2 to 12. But if I add these things, it will convert it to 3. So this is what JavaScript does. We will do these things in detail in the future classes. As of now, I think it is enough for the day. Let's see what happened to our second application, where we have put ng routing as true and style as SCSS. Let's open that folder. My second application, let's open it. So when I open my source folder, inside my app module, First of all, you could see the styling is SCSS. I should be seeing routing folder. Yeah, here is my app routing.module.ts. Like I told you, if I will have multiple modules and I will have multiple components, I will put the information of all the components of the components that I am creating in the app modules. I will put the information of those components inside this routing module, and I will give the path to it so that I can switch between multiple application, because this is a single page application and we will have multiple components which will help us in routing between them. So let's say if I have a second component which I want to add over here, we will do it in the routing class, and we will learn about writing. So let's leave for the day today, and as you could see, we have done some editing and we have created one application. We have learned how to use the ng command. Ignore this. This was because of the internet disconnectivity. So let's end today. Bye, thank you, take care, and do subscribe to this application.